you guys. So obviously today's video title is a little bit hyperbolic because tons and tons and tons of people love beauty gurus. They have the millions in their bank account and the millions of followers to back that statement up. However, number one, I have to title videos something, and number two, I do think that the negative impression that most people have of beauty gurus comes from one key thing that I think we can all learn from. And who knows, maybe some of them will watch this and learn something. I don't know. If you are new here, my name is Whitney. My channel is all about beauty budgets, consumerism, getting the most out of the makeup that we already have, and dissecting the messages that we are exposed to surrounding the beauty community as well as the beauty industry. More specifically, what to watch out for and what, if anything, we can learn from it. If you're not new, hey, how's it going? How's your mom and him? But new or old, make sure you check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and let's just get into it. Okay, usually when I do these types of chatty videos, they tend to come in some sort of like top 5 condensed kind of frame. I'm usually giving several key points. This time I really only have one thing that I would like to kind of dissect. Obviously, what I'm about to say does not apply to all beauty gurus, and it also doesn't apply to just beauty gurus. This is something that you can sort of see if you pay attention to anyone who reaches a certain level of success in social media. I also notice that the people on social media that I am very, very drawn to tend to have or embody some of the traits that I'm going to tell you that are missing from some of the bigger influencers that have been on my radar in the past. I say the past because I don't really follow people like this anymore at all. So really what this comes down to is vulnerability and authenticity. I am not the expert on this subject whatsoever. If you are truly interested in this topic and want to see the ways that understanding vulnerability in particular can impact your life for the greater, I definitely recommend checking out Brene Brown. She has a lot of books out, and she also has a Netflix special that is amazing. It's such a tearjerker. It was life-changing. And even though I'm a really big fan of Brene Brown, everything that I'm about to say is not like consciously inspired by her. I just kind of realized that a lot of the thoughts I had on this were very in line with Brene Brown's overall message, so that's why I'm bringing this up. Even though I have critiqued the beauty community once or twice, not that much. I'm a positive Patty over here. Guys, come on. I kind of think that I've been looking at it the wrong way. I think this whole time I have been focusing a lot more on specific things, more like examples that you might be able to take from the beauty community as opposed to a full-blown kind of blanket understanding of where most of this stuff comes from. And the main thing that it comes down to for me is I genuinely feel like I am watching a performance all of the time. I think I've noticed over the years something about me personally is anything I am drawn to in terms of entertainment always comes down to a level of authenticity and vulnerability. Please understand I'm not here to judge anyone for the things that they're interested in or the pleasure that they get from certain types of content. I'm using myself as an example for a lot of this, so please keep that in mind. But yeah, with movies, music, TV, books, anything, I just do not get into or have an appreciation for things that are just a little too slick, a little too shiny, a little too glossy, a little too perfect, a little too overproduced. Like, it's not something I'm doing consciously. I've just always kind of side-eyed it a little bit. I don't know. It's just a part of me. It's who I am. In the beginning of the beauty community, or I should say the boom, and I quantify the boom as kind of starting in 2014, but a lot of what I'm going to talk about, I feel like began to really take hold in 2017. But prior to the boom, it genuinely just kind of felt like a bunch of chicks and some dudes hanging out on the internet, just talking about the types of products that they were into and sharing tips and tricks, just really spreading the wealth, sharing the knowledge. I feel like the shift was slow because I've been watching beauty YouTube videos since 2010. Yeah, so I feel like the shift was slow, but when it changed, boy oh boy did it change. You guys want to know the first time that I knew things were changing? Look, I did it too, okay? But I'll get into all that later. But I swear, when I started seeing that a lot, it was like the gauntlet had been laid and like, this is what we're doing now. It was like a snowball effect. Posing started. I mean, the literal posing, I mean. The production quality started to go way up. Then the events started. Then the brand trips came. And everybody started moving to LA. And that LA kind of lifestyle and scene just started kind of creeping across this great nation and world of ours. I can literally look at a social media post from someone, like maybe if I'm on the Explore page of Instagram, I can take one look at it, and without knowing anything else about the person who posted it, I can tell if they live in LA or not. Like that. No offense if you guys love LA. When I lived in Vegas, I went there a lot and I hate it. I hate LA. Sorry, no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. It's not for me. But maybe that's why I can just like spot it just so fast. I don't know. So yeah, in that sense, I do kind of have a personal bias. You have to keep that in mind, but I don't mean any harm. It's just how I feel. Some people probably hate Tennessee, but they're crazy, honestly, because it's amazing here. But yeah, I kind of feel like the first time I really looked around and really noticed things were changing, like I said, was around 2017. And at that point, collabs had been happening. The Kardashians had been weaseling their way into the beauty community, which I think has a lot to do with a lot of things as well, I'm being honest. We were seeing very, very obvious and at times deliberate proof from influencers that they were just rolling in the dizzo. Am I too old to say dizzo? Oh, this is totally fine. I shan't knock the hustle. Not what I'm here for and not what my problem is. So go ahead and calm your tits before you get fired up in that comment section. But where there is smoke, there's fire, dude. Once this all started, it just kept growing and growing and growing, and it kind of became like a self-eating snake. The influencers are over here best lifing it up, and we're watching it. And obviously, depending on your relationship to all this stuff, you might be watching it a little, or you might be watching it a lot. And as a result, you may have begun to kind of normalize or fetishize a lifestyle that you cannot relate to at all. And the more successful a beauty guru becomes, in some cases, like I said, this doesn't apply to everybody, but the more successful they become, the more guarded or inauthentic they also become. And even if there is authenticity there, even if what we're seeing is the most real and true versions of themselves that they could possibly portray on the internet, I still don't think that's a very good thing, honestly, personally, just me right here. I don't really have a problem with them or what they do. I do concern myself, however, with the way that we internalize it. I get to an extent how this goes. Once they reach a certain level of success, they become marketable in the eyes of brands, which for the most part is who they're really working for. And even if it's not brands, it's usually trying to maintain alliances with certain influences for fear that should they fall out with this person, they might lose said person's audience and then have some sort of backlash that they end up suffering as a result. It's all very political and self-serving, and it really resembles nothing of what I once loved so much about this platform and this community. But for the sake of their careers and for their bottom line, I can't really fault them for doing it. I do from time to time, though, wonder if they're going to regret painting themselves into a corner, though. I mean, going back to what I said in the beginning, I used to do the whole thing. I couldn't tell you why. Suffice it to say that I noticed that was what everybody else was doing that had reached a certain level of success that I personally wanted to achieve. Monkey see, monkey do, right? And I honestly feel like most, not all, of my content that I had created up until this year was so far removed from who I even am as a person whatsoever. It just kind of felt like what you do. This is what you do when you're on the internet and you talk about beauty and makeup. And as far as being successful in this industry goes, like obviously who wouldn't want to be successful creating content or on the thing that they do the best and know the most about? But it didn't feel like me then, and it doesn't feel like me now. And I kind of regret all the time that I spent not being authentic or vulnerable. Ironically, when I quit doing all that stuff, that's when my channel started to kind of grow, and I developed a whole new type of following and relationship with my subscribers. Like, you guys like this stuff that I do now as much as I enjoy making it, apparently. I honestly think the lack of vulnerability and authenticity that some of these YouTubers display has a lot to do with why drama channels do so well now, and why when there is a scandal of any kind, so many people just gobble it up. I don't know why I said it like that. When the whole James Charles, Tati, Jeffrey thing was going on a few months ago, you know, it was kind of interesting at first and a little shocking, but after a while, it just got flat out ridiculous. People were on social media acting like this was some kind of like East Coast, West Coast, Biggie versus Pac kind of like viewed. I mean, this thing went on for entirely too long, and a big part of it was because people were really relishing in
Schadenfreude.
I can never say that word. Thank you for your help. Which is essentially kind of the act of enjoying other people's downfall. But this happens all the time. It doesn't matter who is involved in the scandal. It happened with Dramageddon 1, Dramageddon 2, with the lipsticks. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. There's not a lot of scandals out there, in my opinion, that I've seen happen that come out of left field. It's usually a lot of things that build up over time. Check out my Anatomy of a Social Media Train Wreck video for more. But we can also kind of see maybe a pattern in the branding or mystique of the kinds of people who tend to find themselves in these scandals. From my perspective, it tends to be the people who are the most self-serving. Does that mean that there is never a humble or caring moment to be found with any of these individuals? No. Does that mean that off camera in their real life, they aren't extremely compassionate, kind, and caring to the people in their lives? No. But that is not what they are branding. And it's not what they're known for. They are known for I think if you just go so far in the direction of perfection and this kind of hyper glossy, unattainable, unrealistic life, you're gonna lose some people. And over time, you're gonna lose a lot more people than you think. There's a reason that most of the beauty gurus who kind of employ that sort of branding tend to have followers who are in their teens, late teens, and early 20s. It's not because they're the only ones on YouTube who want beauty-related content. It's that typically at that point in one's life, that kind of post-adolescence, early 20s place, all of that stuff is very, very appealing. It was for me too. Like, don't let me climb too high on my high horse. Don't let me climb too high on my high horse. Don't let me ascend too quickly onto my high horse. You know what I'm trying to say. But almost everybody grows out of it because we cannot connect to it. It resembles pretty much nothing that we know. There is something to be said for appreciating escapism in the content and in the media that we choose to consume, but at the end of the day, no one can live there forever. But I think this is the key factor in why they get a lot of the flack that they do. It's the exact reason why when a certain scandal breaks out and any given guru might say things about their mental health declining, they get very little sympathy when they start saying that. In fact, the second they start saying things like they're having mental health issues as a result, they almost get demonized for it. I mean, there are the stans. We all know there are stans. That's not who I'm talking about here, obviously. But one cannot live on stans alone. Or maybe you can. I don't know. I don't stan. But as far as their mental health goes, I don't doubt for 1 second, not for a second, that the people who are going through these massive internet social media scandals are suffering greatly with mental health issues. In the throes of that, I can't imagine it. It's terrible. I've been known to kind of sit back and sip some tea too, but at the end of the day, I do know they're real people and I do feel bad for them. Like, I don't envy anything about that situation. But they receive little sympathy in the face of all that because lots of people have dehumanized them. In other words, they don't see them as real people anymore because that's not what they're showing you on a day-to-day basis, month after month, year over year. They almost seem like caricatures of themselves, sharing literally only the most glamorous, flawless, luxurious moments of their life. And like I said, just because once a month or less they share some random real moment of themselves, it doesn't mean that the other 95% of the content that they're putting out doesn't exist. And not only that, ring louder and prouder and more true than the small little shreds of humanity we see once in a blue moon on their Instagram story. And that's because they need the to sell and to stay at the top. And then enter all the aspiring gurus following the same formula, hoping for similar results, without ever unpacking what that actually means and what they would do if they ever got it. But I'm really glad personally that my YouTube career was very slow and steady during the times that I was employing those same tactics, because I couldn't maintain that for very long. I can tell you that much. My life is messy and I have a lot of feelings things, and I overanalyze, and I overthink things all of the time. And to completely hide that part of my personality because it doesn't sell very well to brands or other commercial aspects of this industry, that would be like living in hell. I couldn't do it. So what point am I trying to make, and how does this apply to you exactly? Like it or not, we are more a part of the things that we consume than I think we like to believe. The music you listen to, the shows that you watch, the books that you read, the YouTubers that you enjoy, you're drawn to it because it's scratching an itch, or it resonates with you in some like deep way. Like, for example, I love horror movies. Love them. In fact, horror, thriller, suspense, anything other than that, kind of have a hard time getting into it or paying attention. And this is ostensibly because, according to my therapist, the kind of holy shit, what's gonna happen feeling is like mother's milk to me. I also love content that kind of messes with my head a little bit because I enjoy figuring things out. I want to understand things, and I want to figure out, once I understand them, why they are the way they are. It's just what I'm into. So the question becomes, what is all this hyper glossy, money, me, perfect veneer thing doing for you? And should you find yourself consuming it in large quantities? Side note, this is not only in the beauty community. This is the Real Housewives. This is the Kardashians. This is all of that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But should you find that being the primary type of content that you're drawn to and you enjoy the most, do you ever wonder why? Because it ain't just for the makeup, you guys. Y'all are watching the house tours, the closet tours, the makeup collection tours because it's scratching and itching you somehow. Is it that you've placed a lot of value on these material and superficial things as well? And in that case, what does watching other people have all that stuff do for you? Is feeling left out or being in a perpetual state of FOMO just where you're used to being because it's easier than going out there and trying to get those things for yourself? Is it that these lifestyles and these people seem so unattainable to you, it makes it easier for you to convince yourself of like, well, no way I can ever have or be that, so I'll just get comfy with the way things are now? Is your proclivity for escapism a symptom of unhappiness in your current life? Because at least you can live vicariously through them. You tell me. And yes, there is a balance to be struck. It's not the end of the world to have your trash TV or read celebrity gossip magazines if that's what you want to do. I mean, there's a show called The Only Way is Essex on Hulu, which is basically a British version of the Housewives, Kardashians kind of thing, and I freaking love it more than life itself sometimes, but I can only watch it a couple times a year because I gotta leave at that point and move on with the real shit. I want to connect with people. I want to see people that I see myself in, or I see people that I know in. I want to hear messages. I want to share messages. I want to find my tribe. I want to connect with real, authentic thing. I know I'm not the only one. And all this isn't doing it for me. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and this little tangent, rant, whatever you want to call it, I just went on. And yes, I did change my hair. Thank you so much for asking. I got some baby lights put into it. I'm obsessed. I cannot believe how easily my hair lightened, actually. And I plan on maybe going a little blonder here in the near future. Who knows? Either way, big fan. I get my hair done here in Tennessee. I will leave my hairstylist information all down below if you are interested. She's dope. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Make sure you click subscribe if you are not. Check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms. And I will catch you in the next one.